Hello everyone, I'm the Black Shadow, and welcome to this little update video, just detailing the Resident Evil Outbreak event we have planned to stream next weekend, folks. And that, of course, is the Grand Raffle, which I will be streaming next Saturday. That's Saturday the 13th at 4 p.m. BST, that's local UK time. And of course, I encourage anyone and everyone to get involved in the event, whether that is for, just to watch along, to type or a comment, anything like that. And of course, those of you brave enough to enter this realm of chaos, it's likely going to be, but it should be cracking. But as I said I was going to do, I said I was going to do a little video, just sort of detailing the sort of the rules and the of this little game we've got playing. Yeah, just looking forward to be pretty good. I think I'd explain little things, what we're going to be doing. And of course, it will be mainly involving a little bag of tricks that I have in here. The whole idea, as I said previously about this, is that I wanted to explore more for the game of Resident Evil Outbreak and sort of adapting to circumstances you don't necessarily plan or prepare for, and just to really kind of change things up on the fly and just kind of try different things with the game in my attempts to to continue to explore it. So I had this idea, and as I said, I've tested a few times with some members of the channel to kind of fine-tune things, which is how we've ended up here with the Raffle. So this is how it's going to work with the stream next weekend. As I say, I have typed this all up. I spent a few hours over the past couple of days just typing everything up, making sure it's all good. There'll be a thread on the Discord server, which will have the document hopefully posted to it, so that you can sort of read through the fine print, if you will. But this should be a pretty decent synopsis. So first things first, obviously we're going to have everyone that decides to get involved in it. The first thing I will be doing is I will be randomly rolling with these beautiful little things. I do love these dice. Look at that. Really nice. Really cool. And I will be first randomly rolling for each game we play 3 people to join in a scenario. Now, I will, of course, be giving preference to anyone who has not played or played the least, I should say. That way, it means that anyone who does say they want to get involved, that they can, to make sure everyone does get able to be involved with the stream and to play a couple of games. I wouldn't want luck to say the same person gets chosen like 5 times in a row. It's got about being fair and that sort of thing. So say we have 8 people join. The first game, I will roll for 3 random people. The second time, we'll have 5 left, so I'll roll for 3 more of them. And our third game will have 2 left that still haven't played, so they'll automatically get in, and then there'll be 1 person left, which I will randomly roll from the other 6. Makes logical sense. So once that's chosen, and I've got our 3 people that are going to be joining here, the next thing we'll need to do is decide the stage. And we will, of course, be rolling a very spiffy little D20 here, which is going to be seeing plenty of action next week. As there are a total of 16 stages across both File 1 and File 2. That's 10 full scenarios, as well as the free elimination and the free showdown stages for File 2 as well. And all of them are on the table. Total flat draw. It could be thrown anything. So D20 to decide that. Should be pretty simple. And then I will then re-roll this again because we'll need to decide what difficulty we'll be playing this on. Difficulty will vary between hard and very hard mode for this event. So it will just be a simple evens for hard and odds for very hard. Simple enough. So we've got the players, and we've got the stage. Then the fun part. Characters. Now, there are a lot of characters in the Outbreak games. To be specific, there's 109 in File 1, and in File 2 that was expanded to 123 different characters that you could play. It is nuts. That varies from File 1 characters, File 2 characters, and the so-called File 3 characters that were available via GameShark codes, which are now available as standard in the Outbreak Online sort of universe on the servers in both files, which is pretty cool. They're pretty nice. You can tell how like their details and how they're worked out and how they kind of rendered is very different to some of the older stuff. It's pretty cool. So each player, including myself, will be randomly rolling with these dice. The dice will be randomly rolling for their character. Now, File 1 and File 2 do work slightly differently. In File 1, for example, you're only allowed one of each character type, I should say. So you can't run around with like 4 Kevin types of 45 just shooting everything. File 1 does not allow that. So what we're doing for File 1 is, if he looks over his dice here, we've got a lovely little spiffy D8, which looks really cool, and I say reminds you of the old save crystals back from the old Tomb Raider games. We'll roll a D8 for each person to decide their character type, 1 through 8 for 8 different types. And then from there, I'll then roll whichever dice it is I need to decide the actual character from that sort of selection, which will vary. Some will be D20, some might be a couple of dice. Like the George type, for example. There's 30 different George types in File 1. It is ridiculous how many there are. That's all sorted out. It's all ready to go. It's all in the document you guys can hopefully read on there. And that'll be fine. And I'll roll all 4 characters, and we'll see who we get. For File 2 is a little bit different in that I've got a lot more customization. You can mix and match far more. So all I'll basically be doing is a mix of, whenever he finds it, here we are. So we've got a D10 and a D12, and I will simply roll both of these for a flat draw, and you have the equal chance of rolling anyone in the game. Well, that's not exactly true. As I said, there are a total of 123 different characters in File 2. Now, for this system, that's a bit of an awkward number. We'll say that for what I've got, with the dice that I have. 123 is a bit dodgy. So I made the executive decision to basically take 3 characters out of the File 2 character selection. And it was not the easiest thing I've done, but I figured for simplicity's sake, I figured I would do this. So the 3 characters are out. I've taken out Mr. Red, who was a Kevin type, because I know anyone who rolls him would not be very happy. Mr. Red is an incredibly difficult character to use due to his incredibly low health and abysmal speed. So I've taken him out. I've also removed Mr. Green, who is a gym type, purely on the basis that his insane virus rate is just crazy high. I didn't want to take out 2 stickmen, to be honest, but it was about the best thing I could do. I wanted to take out 2 characters that were just really, really challenging to use, so I decided to do that. The last one I've gotten rid of is someone called Frost B, who is an alternate version of the scientist that you have to use the blowtorch on to kind of defrost the place in below freezing point. Why'd I get rid of Frost B? Well, Frost and Frost B are pretty identical. There's not much difference. And I can't wait to get rid of a George type because there's 31 George types in File 2. So I figured get that down to 30. A bit of an easier number to work with. So those are the 3 out. But everyone else, the 120 characters left in the game, will be a totally open, flat draw. You could pick anyone out of them. And that'll be all down to these things. One exception I should quickly state, actually. You are not allowed to have more than one type of the original 8 characters. So, for example, you could have, like, Mark and Marvin, who's a Mark type because he's an NPC, but you couldn't have Mark and Mark C, just going for an example there. The game doesn't physically allow you to do that. So in the unlikely case that will happen, I'll just re-roll. Should be pretty simple. And of course, that'll be rolled for all 4 characters to see who's lucky and who's not. That's where I was going to leave things. That was where I was originally going to just leave the game, and we've got our characters, the players, the stage, and everything, and we go on for that. However, I was inspired by these little things, good old tabletop RPG dice, and how sometimes in those games you just need a good bit of luck to achieve. And inspired by this, I figured it would only be fair to give it one last roll as a way of seeing how lucky or unlucky you might be. And as such, I have devised a set of a few different stipulations that may well be placed onto your runs. The odds of it are unlikely, but, This is the ROFL raffle. The one raffle where you probably don't want to win. So, we'll go from the top. We'll start with, wherever it is. Lucky number 20. There you are. So, this is the good stipulation. This is the nice one. If your team rolls a 20 at this point, you will get access to the probably ironically called a lucky dip, and where every character for that party will be allowed, or every player, I should say, will be allowed one opportunity to have their character re-rolled for them. Now, you only get one chance. You don't have to take it if you don't want to, but if you get rolled with a pretty naff character and you get the team rolls a 20, it could be a saving grace. Or you might have like a kind of a middle to average sort of character who might not be particularly fast, might not be particularly healthy, and you roll a 20 and you're like, well, you know, I could have a re-roll, get a better character. You might re-roll and get someone even worse. But that's the decision you'll have to make should your team lucky enough to get the chance. So that's the good one. Then there's some not so good ones. Now, 5 through 19 on the dice will be totally, just normal. There will be no stipulations because I want to have it as I don't want to make this too gimmicky. It's a nice way of kind of having a unique run or two. And the odds are, over the course of the stream, someone will get a stipulation that is odds on that will happen. Who, what, where, when, how, and why? I don't know, but we'll see. So, next up. Number 4. Number 4 is not too terrible. More of an inconvenience, if you will. But should your team roll a 4, I'm afraid you're going to have to be very resourceful with your healing items, because all first aid sprays in the game will be banned. Now, this is kind of inspired from the old Resident Evil games, especially like Resident Evil 1 to Resident Evil 2 come to mind, where when you used to beat the game gave you a ranking. The game would penalize you for using first aid sprays to heal yourself, but the game was already using herbs in whatever combination you decide, and it seemed like a nice little inspiration for a little fun with a stipulation. So you can use any herbs or any pills, anything like that you find. It's all totally okay. Just no first aid sprays. They will be banned. And that will probably hurt File 2 players more, because, of course, some of the first aid spray can take it, and your allies can stack up in one space, and you can spray it and heal everyone. Afraid that you're going to have to find a different way of doing things. Regretful. But it could be worse. It could be, like, number 3. Number 3 isn't a disaster, you get all your first aid sprays back. That's totally fine. However, instead, what will be banned are your character's personal item. So that is Kevin's 45, that's Mark's handgun, Jim's coin, which you can flip for extra critical chance, George's medical kit, no pill creation, David's toolkit, so no monkey wrenches, no folding knife, no fixing broken weapons, no making new ones. Alyssa's lockpick, that's a no-go. You're going to have to bash those doors down. Yoko's knapsack, out of the question. She locked it before the start of the apocalypse, and she doesn't know where she put the key, so she's down to her standard 4 inventory spaces. And no herb case for Cindy. No storing, no using the herbs in it. Nothing at all. They will all be banned. I can't say I've ever played a game like that before, where those unique items to that character type will be banned, but it seems quite fascinating. You can still use any starting item to get like some handgun rounds or, anything like that your character type actually starts with, just not your actual core item. That will be banned. You can still use skills, by the way, so like George's dodge tackle, other characters' dodges, Kevin's kick, Mark's like heavy swing. They're fine. Just no items. Next up is number 2. Number 2 is a problem. If you are unlucky enough to roll a number 2, it isn't just going to be Kevin's 45 and Mark's handgun that are going to be banned. it will be every single firearm in the game. You will be playing a melee-only run. Yeah, that sucks, right? Of course, we've done a few knife runs and bits and pieces like this on the channel, and this will be your grand opportunity to join me as we crash, bash, cut, and slice our way through the apocalypse together. So anything, knives, blades, sticks, pipes, bars, anything like that is fine, but no guns, no projectiles. So that's like George's ample shooter is not allowed. Stuff like chemical bottles, Molotovs, no dice at all. Anything you can throw is out of the question. The only exception I'm going to make to this rule is stuff like bent iron pipes and like broken crutches, because it can be very easy in the middle of a battle, to be, physically hitting something, and then it can, with an iron pipe, it becomes bent, you don't realize, and you just end up throwing it. And that can happen really easily, and I'm not going to penalize people for that. So, any kind of melee weapon in that respect, I'm okay with, but no bottles, no Molotovs, no flame sprays, no guns. It's all out of the question. And then, should you be unlucky enough to roll a 1, I'm afraid it's bad news for you. Now, the number 1 stipulation will depend on which file we're playing, and there's a reason for that. We'll take file 2 to start with. Should your team be unlucky enough to roll a 1, I'm afraid the game you've chosen is going to be competed under Nightmare Mode rules. Now, for those of you who don't know what Nightmare Mode is, it's a modifier that was brought into File 2. And basically, enemies hit harder, you've got less health, and healing items don't heal anywhere near as much as they used to. It is a nasty, nasty modifier, and it certainly makes the game a lot more challenging. You thought you could, the amount of times I played Nightmare Mode, and you get grabbed by something, and you're almost instantly down on the ground. It's pretty brutal. God forbid that you pick Nightmare Mode, and you've got a character with like 1,000 health. That's bad times right there. That's really bad. Unfortunately, this mode is not available in File 1, however, so I had to come up with something a little bit different for File 1, and I had a little look around at what you could and couldn't do. There was a different modifier that you can turn on for your File 1 games, and that, I'm afraid, is Friendly Fire Mode, where any attacks by your allies, gunshots, melee attacks, explosions, they can hurt your own allies as much as they hurt the enemies. And that is something that, should you be unlucky enough to roll a 1, you're going to have to communicate pretty well with your team. Otherwise, they're going to start getting really, really cross at you. So hopefully you won't roll that, because if you guys roll that, I'm kind of stuck with it too. And the thought of that does not thrill me. But it is the Raffle, where no one really wins. So there's a brief little synopsis for you, for as brief as I could at least, for the Raffle. As I say, it will be next Saturday, the 13th, on Mixer at 4 PM BST. Now, for those of you that are interested in joining along, as I say, I'll have a Discord thread on the server in the link below. The only thing I need to know beforehand is how many people are actually going to be getting involved, so I can sort of get the player pool sorted before the stream on Saturday. So you can either do that on the Discord server that we have, or if you're not a member of that, you can let me know in the comments section below as well. If you're interested, I will need your handle name for Resident Evil Outbreak, by the way, just so I know who's who, because some people internal decided to make their name in Japanese accidentally, so not much I can do about that. Anyways, so that's going to be all. So something just fell down there. Professionalism at work, everyone. So thank you very much. I hope you have a remainder of a good weekend, and I'm sure I'll see you next week. Get your raffle tickets out and prepare to set fire to them.